to be the roll call. Amanda, please.
Thank you. Judge Summers. Felicia Harper. Keith Griffey.
Here.
Mayor Treva Hodges.
To be the roll call. Amanda, please.
Thank you. Judge Summers. Felicia. Sorry about that. I had the YouTube in my ear there. Mayor Hodges. Mayor Deeriff. Matt Minier. Matt, you're on mute, but I've got you. Mayor Mike Moore.
I'm here.
Andy Crouch for Mayor Moore.
Thank you. Chad Ricegol.
Chad, I don't think is joining us.
Okay. Mayor Gahan. John Rosenbarger. Chris John Streeps. Larry Summers. Mayor Beverly Chester Burton.
Here.
Jeff Early. Mayor Tonini. Bernie Bowling. Commissioner Jack Kaufman. Brian Dixon. Commissioner Sean Carruthers. Don Lopp. Justin Tackett. Secretary Joe McGinnis. Kathy Eaton McCallum.
I'm present.
Thank you. Deputy Secretary Tony McClellan.
I'm here.
Robin Bolte. Mayor Chapman.
Here.
Secretary Jim Gray. Matt Bullock.
Here.
Steve Ross. Thomas Witt. Tanya Higdon.
Here, representing Secretary Gray.
Mayor Greg Fisher. Dirk Gowan. Gretchen Milliken. Jeff O'Brien. I see Jeff still connecting to audio, but I've got you, Jeff. Vanessa Burns. James Welch. Brian Sinwell. Dan Mann. Judge Vogel. Jim Urban. Kevin Nuss. Councilman Ryan Ramsey.
Kevin Beatty for Ryan.
Thank you. Mary Morrow. Carrie Butler.
Yes, here.
Ida Kopic.
I am here.
Jeffrey Hoban. And that's it for our voting members. Thank you to our advisory members who are on. Mayor Chapman, we do have a quorum.
All right, good deal. Well, let's move forward then with item number 2. That would be the approval of our September 2020 TPC meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve.
Kevin Beatty, so moved.
Thank you, sir. Second?
Andy Crouch, second.
Second, Andy, thank you. Any additions or corrections? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion does carry. Item number 3, this is our public comment period. If there's any public that's listening in on this call, please go ahead and get on the chat, and we will cover this later on with any comments you may have to the board. Greg Burgess. Greg, are you listening to us?
Yes, sir.
Greg, you want to give a little introduction before we get to the public involvement period report?
Sure. My name is Greg Burris. I'm the new community outreach specialist for KEPTA. I started here in July, in case anybody didn't know.
Neither did I.
Been here for a few months and really enjoy being here.
Good deal. All righty. Oh, item number 4, public involvement period. Tell us what you've been doing, Greg.
Sure. So as you all may be aware, public comment window for Amendment 2 in the draft coordinated plan ran from October 24th through November the 7th, and we hosted a virtual public meeting on October the 27th from 5 to 7. Using several strategies to increase awareness and input, we advertised in multiple newspapers and created a dedicated web page to house all the information in an interactive comment map. We sent out an email blast to over 2,100 people on the MPO's mailing list, and we used social media to create multiple posts across our leading platforms. We received 42 comments on Amendment 2, with most of those comments coming via the interactive map, and we received 1 comment on the draft coordinated plan. Outside of Amendment 2 in the coordinated plan, we received and responded to a couple of public inquiries and suggestions through email and phone. And last week, KEPTA spotlighted Transportation Online Resource Center developer Zach Herzog on our main social media channels. Zach's a crucial member of the GIS, so we congratulate him on his help to KEPTA and that spotlight. And then finally, at September's meeting, I spoke about the update to the public participation page and creating an interactive comment map for users to leave general traffic concerns and suggestions. We're excited to announce that we've seen several comments already since the launch of that application. We look forward to receiving future comments. That concludes this month's report. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Any questions to Greg? Well, welcome aboard. Look forward to next month with you. Item number 5, very special. We have the Transit Authority of River City Executive Director, Director Carrie Butler. I think Amanda wants to make a couple of comments first. Amanda, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It is my pleasure to welcome Carrie Butler to TPC today. Carrie is the new Executive Director for TARC. Her role includes overseeing the agency's $80 million operating budget and over 600 employees, providing nearly 14,000 trips per day, over 20 routes in our region. Since 2014, Ms. Butler served as General Manager of LexTran in Lexington. She's the President of the Kentucky Clean Fuels Coalition and has previously served on the Planning Commission and Lexington Senior Services Commission. She has a master's degree in urban and regional planning from Florida State University, a bachelor's degree in economics from Bellarmine. Carrie developed her passion for public transportation during her fellowship from the Florida Department of Transportation, where she worked for Miami-Dade Transit and Star Metro in Tallahassee. Previously at TARC, in 2010, she managed the Department of Planning and Scheduling, while at Trans Systems, her project focus was on intelligent transportation systems planning, along with a range of transit and urban design plans for transit agencies, local, state, and federal projects. Carrie is a highly motivated, energetic transit executive with 20 years experience in the field of transportation and urban planning. Her broad base in the industry ranges from executive leadership and management, service and long-term regional planning, and a current focus on sustainable business practices and high return on investment innovation. Again, welcome, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you. I realized when I wrote that up, I should have said you can abbreviate that as much as you can, because I know sometimes those bios they're like, okay, we get it. But I also realized that I think I can say I have, I think I'm officially at the over 20 years of experience mark, and I almost didn't want to put that because it made me feel too old. So I do think I can go to that over 20 years experience. I have a couple slides if the group is amenable that I would like to share. I'm going to attempt to share my screen and share the right screen. I am hoping this will work and won't totally disconnect us from the internet. Does everybody see a PowerPoint screen?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Just the PowerPoint screen, or do you also see like Outlook in the background?
Just the PowerPoint.
Great. Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, I think this will work. Okay, so this is a picture of Union Station from way back in, I'm not exactly sure when this picture is dated from, but this is the historic Louisville and Nashville rail train station, and TARC operates out of this building and has for, I think, 30 years almost. I wanted to start with this slide just as a reminder of the history of transportation in Louisville and in our region. You see the streetcars in the middle there, and then also the cab stand lined up just to the right. And just as a reminder of how long we've been doing transportation in our community and how long TARC and its sort of predecessors have been a part of that and part of the transportation fabric in our region. Next is TARC's mission statement, and we have our most recent class of bus drivers. They broke social distancing protocols for just a minute to pose for the picture, but kept their mask on. So we are, always pleased to have a new group of drivers into our fold, and they go through a pretty extensive driver training program, both to get their commercial driver's license as well as to learn the TARC routes. Our mission statement, explore and implement transportation opportunities, enhancing the social, economic, and environmental well-being of the greater Louisville community. Our services, and I think probably given that this is a transportation policy committee, you may know a lot of this, but just as a quick reminder, maybe for those that are new, we have a combination of fixed route service that includes local and a few express routes. We have some circulator service. Most of our routes operate 7 days a week from about 5:30 a.m. till well into 1 o'clock in the morning. Another key piece of our service is our Americans with Disabilities Act paratransit service. We operate that through a contract with MB Transportation. TARC has previously held contracts with First Transit, Laidlaw for many years. So we typically or traditionally have contracted that service out, and that is a service provided for people who by nature of their disability are not able to ride our fixed route service. We also have a wonderful partnership and a wonderful long-standing partnership with KEPTA on a van pool program. It's called the Every Commute Counts, and that's been a really great way for people in the region to be able to get different places, primarily work. It's primarily a commuter service, hence the Every Commute Counts. But if they wish to ride to work in a shared ride with their coworkers, they can do a van pool, and there's a lot of great programs. And that's been a really long-standing partnership between TARC and KEPTA that we're really proud of, and I think is a really important piece of how we are able to take transit or ride TARC is parking costs. They want that increased independence, some financial savings. It's better for the environment. And, the thing I've been saying most recently is that you can TikTok while you ride. And I'm sure if you have young kids or teenagers, you know what TikTok is, but it certainly is a way to make your time on board and your time commuting much, much more productive than being stuck in traffic or, the other things, kind of that stress of driving. Our customers, everyone. I consider everybody in the community a customer of TARC. Most people that pay taxes are a customer through their support. If you work in Jefferson County, your occupational license fee contributes to our funding. And then we do have our riders, and those are any number of people, commuters, students, people who don't like to drive, maybe those folks that have more of a civic or environmentally minded and sort of make that choice because they think that helps them with their commute pattern or to do something in their daily life that they feel more comfortable with. Sustainability initiatives. I'm sorry, we have done so much with sustainability here at TARC, and I know there's a lot on the slide. I won't hit all these, but the key pieces where we have done some really great work is in our facilities, both in our maintenance annex. That's a relatively new building in comparison to our historic Union Station, but that's a LEED Gold certified maintenance annex. We also won just recently, a couple weeks ago, a Kilowatt Crackdown Award for the improvements we did to Union Station. So if you can imagine, a 130-year-old building was not built to current environmental standards, so we've done a lot to make a more efficient HVAC system and also insulation along the windows. The other key piece is our fleet. We have 15 zero-emission electric buses, 32 hybrids, and then one that we are doing some testing on, a geofencing program where the bus goes into a hybrid mode in the downtown area. So on sort of a hot spot from an air quality location can go into that hybrid mode. And then we are looking at probably next spring to do our second round of photovoltaic solar array on our building. So a lot of work around sustainability, and I just wanted to mention it because a lot of these grants and a lot of the opportunities we've had to make these improvements have been because of funding that we were able to access through KIPTA and through other, FTA and FHWA funding sources. So this has been a really important part of how TARC has been able to stay innovative and make an impact, not just for what we do with buses on the street, but also our impact on, business practices and sustainability initiatives. Projects and successes. This is a slide for a new person. I can't really take any credit for any of these things, but I did want to talk about TARC as an organization, some things that we did. Did a major update to our fare collection system. That's the My TARC card you may have seen or even hopefully used. Started work on a comprehensive operations analysis, or COA, and then we unveiled a new website on our first app, the My TARC app, and another big significant project that was done with a lot of partnerships through Metro Louisville and KYTC, as I'm sure this group knows, is the Dixie Rapid service that kicked off right in January of 2020. And then, as everybody is well aware, a global pandemic hit. And so we've had to put a lot of our projects sort of on pause or focus on our response to COVID, which has been a primary focus over the past, 6-7 months. But, very proud of the work we did with the Dixie Rapid and then also some of the customer-facing applications. Budget and funding, I also won't belabor this slide because I know that certainly the KIPTA folks know all this really well, but we are funded through federal, state, and local funds. So, those federal dollars, as I'm sure everyone on this group, those are critical for us being able to do really anything on any given day, just a really critical time, and especially looking towards the next authorization bill and what might come out of a new administration and, potentially a new Congress. That's certainly top of mind for us at TARC and certainly for this group, I imagine. Local funding amidst, I mentioned the occupational license fee. It's from a referendum that was passed back in 1974. So TARC, remains grateful every day for the support we get through our tax funds. That again is a tremendous part of what we're able to do every day. And then state fundings, both from Indiana and the Commonwealth of Kentucky, sort of varies from year to year. And so, we're always looking for ways to sort of bolster those state funds that we get and to help kind of balance that mix of federal, local, and state funding. Our expenses. So for fiscal year 2021, the majority of the dollars that we spend from an expense standpoint are on direct labor, 31%, fringe benefits, 30%. Those are the two large, the red and the sort of off-red pie shapes, and then purchase transportation. And the purchase transportation is the ADA paratransit service I mentioned that's under a contract or purchased through a contract with MV Transportation. So that gets right at just, almost 80% of our budget on labor, fringes, and then our paratransit service. So next biggest expense categories, materials and supplies and services. So that's fuel, parts, the things we need to keep the buses going. On the revenue side, shouldn't come as any surprise, the largest share of our funding is through that local occupational tax, or what we call the MTTF, or the Mass Transit Trust Fund. And that's a most significant part of our operating funds. Then the next comes through our fare box at about $8.3 million. So those are the money that we collect on board or through sales and through the use of the My TARC card. I wanted to show just a few slides. We are in the midst of revamping and redoing our monthly performance report. So this is information that we present each month to the TARC Board of Directors and to the community. And I just have a couple slides just to give you kind of a glimpse of it. If you would like more information, you can always go to ridetarc.org, and we have these posted under our board meeting or board minutes page. We certainly have seen a decline in ridership, and I'll go to the next slide, which shows a comparison of both for fixed route ridership as well as paratransit ridership, and it shows the past 3 fiscal years. So the gray bar represents fiscal year 19, the navy blue is fiscal year 20, and then the red bar is fiscal year 21. And you can see that on trend, we are well below ridership, both on fixed route and paratransit. This is 100% because of COVID-19 and limiting trips and limiting service to essential trips only. So it's really hard, I'll be honest, it's really hard for me to see this and see our ridership decline. It's hard. This is what we do. We want people out riding, we want people to use our service. But when I see this slide, it makes me, I feel good because that means that people are not taking as many trips as they should. And that's a good thing when you are trying to respond to a global pandemic. So it's hard to see this drop in ridership, but we know that it is attributed to people trying to be responsible and not make as many trips as they would. We see this, and I've talked to my colleagues across the country, this is a very almost to the percent point what other transit agencies are saying. Everybody saw about a 70% drop right in the height of, when we just were all locked down and not doing anything. And so we've ticked back up to maybe we're at about a 60%, maybe 55% drop, might have dropped a little bit more this week with some of the change in regulations. But so, just kind of an update on where we are with our ridership and how we've been able to respond as a community to the COVID-19. And then on-time performance. So this is another place where we're struggling a little bit. Our on-time performance has not been where we want it to be. We're seeing some, response to a number of detours that we have been working around throughout the city, and then just focus on our recruiting and getting people hired. So just kind of a snapshot of our monthly performance report, and there is more information available on our website or during our board meetings. Ridership by route. So now I want to kind of transition into things that maybe this group is policy experts in transportation. You may have seen some of these before, but this gives a little bit of a look at kind of where we are and what we're thinking about doing over the next few years. We have certainly seen, and this is a very consistent pattern of our ridership. So I know folks have seen this slide or similar slides of this with TARC routes before. I know when I used to present to TPC, I had shown kind of a similar thing on our route monitoring report, but we have 48% of our routes, take the vast majority of our ridership. So you see that, or I'm sorry, the top 4 routes, the top 4 busiest routes comprise about 48% of our total ridership. And then the next chunk, so that's that sort of slightly darker gray, takes about 42%. And then if you look at those last 6, sort of the lightest chart, that's about 7% of our ridership. So over this past summer, TARC did make some changes to our route structure, and some of our routes that were on the very, very far end of this chart that had the very low average weekday boardings were suspended or postponed. Some of this was also due to the fact that we weren't seeing that ridership. There was definitely a change in commute patterns with fewer people coming downtown, and certainly fewer people, the amount of people who were commuting into downtown, which is really how a lot of our routes were structured into that downtown core in the peak hour. So this is a consistent pattern that we see with, just a percentage of our routes really performing or gaining the highest amount of ridership on our system, which is where we felt we want to make some changes to our service philosophy or how we're thinking about service. And that was where we started with that COA back in 2019 to kind of think about how we can do things differently and where we might be able to make some make improvements to our service that help meet some of our cost effectiveness needs, but as well as helping serve the community and serve people better, looking at faster travel times, more frequent service, concentrating on our reliability, more direct service, simplifying the system and recognizing that there is a need for a need and a desire for more on-demand or more flexible services. So that's kind of the philosophy that we put together looking forward, you know, when we were thinking about how to perform or undertake the comprehensive operations analysis. And of course, building on safety culture and awareness. What we do every day has to be safe. You know, I mean, you know, the cliche safety first, but really for us, it is safety first. And we have to build that culture to ensure that we are getting people where they need to go and getting all of our employees back home in the same way they came in every day. Then also thinking about future service types, you know, wanting to make sure that the service is simple, you know, frequent, sort of clock-based, so it's just sort of, you know, meets people's needs and kind of where they are, making sure that we have routes that feed and link to core routes, thinking about that multimodal aspect or microtransit, micromobility, and that there are ways that we can link to van pools and other programs and some other connections downtown. So those are some really broad sort of service types kind of based on a different way of maybe thinking about TARC and the way we deliver transit service. And quickly, the current funded projects. Again, we need to complete our comprehensive operations analysis that started back in 2019 and got put on hold as we worked through the COVID response. And then we have a long-range plan update to kick off. Those are projects that are already under contract and with the consultant team. We want to build on our current technology platform, especially for those customer-facing applications, looking to update our sustainability program plan, and then also start mobility services study. So again, I just wanted to point out how important the planning dollars or planning funds that TARC has been able to get through our partners at KIPTA and through the, you know, through the local group here, because we really are able to do, you know, do this planning work and explore different opportunities. And we wouldn't be able to do it without those funding and those, you know, those grant opportunities that we get. Just one last thing, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to talk transit for a few minutes and take up your time. I certainly am feeling grateful. I know as we were getting started, I was talking about how I've moved and had some complications with furniture delivery and everything. So just been feeling really grateful, and especially this week with Thanksgiving, and just feeling appreciative for the opportunity to be here and to talk today. You know, we will focus our next little bit on COVID response and how we work through hopefully what is this final phase of a global pandemic. Again, focusing on service delivery and reliability, and then doing internal work with our team. You know, look forward to more conversations locally with stakeholders. And then before we know it, I'll be getting into the fiscal year 2022 budget. So that is it for me. Thanks for the opportunity to talk transit, and I will probably stop sharing my screen, but I am open for questions if we have a little bit of time for that.
Well, thank you, Director Butler. Any questions? I know we'll move on to the next item. If not, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Item number 6 is a project management guideline. Nick, this is you're up. Nick Vale.
Yes. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm unfortunately having to use my phone due to technical issues with my computer. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, you seem to be a little delayed, but I think we're picking you up okay. Okay.
Yeah, real quickly, this item about project management is essentially kind of a quick update from September 2020, our meeting, the TPC meeting, when the new project management guidebook was approved by this body. Since then, we realized there was two things that required clarification. One that's actually a revision found on page 9 to clarify that there will be up to 4 opportunities per year for Kentucky project sponsors to submit cost increases. And then the second is just to kind of make sure everyone understands that with the the big changes that we made to the phase shift rules in terms of what happens when a phase of a project is delayed. This only impacts Kentucky project sponsors, but essentially we're wiping the slate clean. And so going forward, the previous phase shifts will not be counted. And that's primarily due to the fact that the definition of a phase shift has changed from 1 fiscal year equals 1 phase shift. And now 1 phase shift can also mean any movement within the 6-year tip. So I can take any questions about those 2 changes. Otherwise, I will request action.
Any questions of Nick before we get the motion? Okay, hearing none, I do need a motion then to approve the project management guidebook changes. Do I have a motion?
Jeff O'Brien, so moved.
Jeff, thank you. I need a second.
Rick Tonini.
Rick, thank you so much, sir. All right, any questions? If not, all in favor, aye? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Nick, it does pass. Okay, number 7, you're up again, looks like with a quarter review of the MPO funding program.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So this is just our typical quarterly update. All this information was also presented to TTCC a couple weeks ago. We have, I think, 1 action that includes all of the phase shift and cost increases that were submitted. So in Indiana, we had a small amount of funding available for fiscal year 2021, about $76,000. We received 2 requests from New Albany. And since there was no other competition for the funding, staff recommended that those funds be awarded to them. So you'll see that in the attachments in the TPC packet. And then there were 4 cost increase requests for Kentucky project sponsors through the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program. We had about $4 million available, and after if those cost increases are accepted, there will still be about $3.9 million available for cost increases in fiscal year 2021. In Kentucky, there were a large number of phase shifts. There are 62 phases that are being shifted out from a fiscal year to another one. And this is a little bit misleading. It's not as bad as it looks. I think the key here is that because of the previous rules involving 1 phase shift equaling 1 fiscal year, sponsors were stacking up multiple phases of a project in 1 fiscal year. For example, there were 2 or 3 projects this year where all 3 or 4 phases were scheduled. So we've kind of wiped the slate clean. Folks are resetting their schedules to something that's achievable. So all of those phase shifts are listed in the packet that was sent out. And then there was 1 minor change that doesn't require action, but it's essentially a funding swap in Indiana between Clarksville's Blackiston Mill Road Phase 2 project and Floyd County's Bridge 51. They are swapping funds because of a project delay on one and an expedited schedule on another. So we were able to make that work, and it's just seemingly a straight swap of funds. Before I ask for action on the cost increases and phase shifts, just real quickly for a recap of fiscal year 2020 in Indiana, sponsors obligated about 97% of the funds that were allocated that fiscal year. It's about $4.6 million. In Kentucky, there was only 12% of the funds that were programmed this fiscal year, or this past fiscal year, were actually obligated. So about $9 million, which is down considerably from last year, which was, I think we were at $24 million. We know a lot of that's due to COVID. There's probably other factors as well. And hopefully in fiscal year 2021, we can get back to where we were in 2019. And then in the Kentucky Transportation Alternatives Program, we obligated about 5% of those projects. So definitely a lot of work to be done in 2021, but I think with the new rules and the new project management guidebook, that should help project sponsors. Are there any questions or comments about the information that's provided in the packet? This is definitely an item I'd prefer to spend more time on, but I know we're kind of up against it with the board meeting after this.
Any questions of Nick? Do pay attention to the amount of obligated projects. I think that's something we definitely got to look at next year. But with that, I guess I entertain a motion for this quarterly review of the MPO fund programs. Do I have that motion?
So moved, Bill Deere.
Bill, thank you. Second?
Second, Beverly.
Beverly, thank you. Any questions? If not, all in favor? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Did a good job, Nick. That one passed. Number 8 now, we're going to the draft coordinated human service transportation plan. Action is requested on this, but I'm asking for Elizabeth to give us an update. Elizabeth?
Hello, everyone. I'm here to present the final coordinated human services transportation plan. Finally wrapping this one up. So just a quick recap. The coordinated plan is allows us to receive funding for FTA's 5310 enhanced mobility for seniors and individuals with disabilities. And we're required to update it about every 4 years in concert with our MTP. So the last update was in 2016, and we started this update in spring, early spring, summer. We identified the current providers, updated the data. Back in May and July, we were asking for survey responses from the public and transportation providers to get their feedback. And then you all, as well as TTCC and the RTC, provided input onto the goals and objectives in August and the draft plan back in September. So we had a few responses, a few minor edits, but nothing major. And then most recently, we had a public comment period that ended on November 7th with a public meeting. And we did receive one comment that was sent out when Amanda sent out the comments for Amendment 2 as well. And it was about just asking for more walkable communities so that these populations did not have to rely on vehicles and vehicle providers if they didn't want to. And then so right now in November, we are seeking final approval of this plan. I did want to just go over the goals again with you all just one more time. So we have performance, access, safety, and coordination, making sure that we have reliable and efficient service delivery in our area for these populations. Like Carrie said, with the TARC 3 service, it's for people who really don't have any other option, who need to get to medical, social, and shopping appointments. So they really do rely on the service, making sure that we have access across our region. This covers all 9 KENTUCKIANA counties, so both urban and rural. Safety, that we have safe services in our area, safe infrastructure, including bike and pedestrian facilities. And then that coordination that's so important between providers, government agencies, and the local advocates to make sure that we're utilizing the funds to the most efficient ability possible and being innovative as well with how we are divvying up the funds and utilizing them. So if you all don't have any questions about the plan, I am asking for approval. It was recommended by TTCC.
Okay. I need a motion for the approval of the Coordinated Human Service Transportation Plan.
Keith Griffey, so moved.
Thank you. Second?
Jeff O'Brien, second.
Thank you, Jeff. All righty. If any questions? All in favor of this plan, say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you, Elizabeth. Moving on to number 9. Now, this one is with David Burton. David, look like we got 3 different things we're covering here. Is that correct? David?
That is correct. Sorry, I had to unmute, but that is correct. We're trying to seek action on 3 different pieces.
Will we take those together?
What we would like to do is just go ahead and present everything, and then if you could take them individually.
Okay, all right, good deal. Move forward.
Okay, we have Nick and I are going to tag team on this, but I have to say that Nick does most of the work on this and deserves much of the credit for getting this thing taken care of. We are presenting Amendment 2 to the Metropolitan Transportation Plan Connecting Kentuckiana 2040 and the 2020 to 2025 Transportation Improvement Program and the KEPTA Performance Management Plan. So we have 3 key elements that we want to present to you today. We received about 28 projects that were either changes to existing projects or new projects that were going to be that are being presented for your consideration to the MTP or the TIP. We've also have revised the KEPTA Performance Management Plan to reflect the TARC's transit asset management performance targets. So we've incorporated those into our planning process. And the next steps basically would require us to go through the interagency consultation where we talk to the air quality experts and the project sponsors to make sure that everything is lined up pretty well for air quality purposes. And then as Greg reported earlier, there was a public involvement period that went from October 24th through November 7th. And we had a virtual public meeting there as well. We were pretty excited about the comments that we received. We received around 42 comments that spanned between 6 to 8 different projects. We had comments that were in support of particular projects that had been put on the slate for your consideration, and we had comments that were in opposition as well. Those comments were emailed to you on November 9th by Amanda, and I hope you've had a chance to take a good look at those, as well as the projects themselves. So what we're asking for now is for your consideration of the 28 project changes or new projects. Ask for your consideration with the KEPTA inclusion of the KEPTA Performance Management Plan's inclusion of the TARC Transit Asset Management targets. That's a mouthful. And then the amendment to the Connecting Kentuckiana 2040 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Nick, do you have anything you want to add to this at all?
I think you covered it pretty well. I definitely don't want to take all the credit. This is definitely all planners and GIS staff involved, from David, Andy Rush, Randy Simon, Greg Burris, Dane Hoskins, Zach Herzog, and Adam Forseth. Pretty much almost every single person was involved. So it's definitely a total team effort. But no, I think you hit all the high points, and then we can move to action if there's no comments or questions.
Can't hear you.
Okay, any questions, anyone? And before we go to these 3 different motions and second and whatnot, I would like to say I think we have a staff here that's unreal, second to none. You guys and gals always do a fine job, so we appreciate it. The first action required is the approval of the amendment number 2 to the Connecting Kentuckiana 2040 MTP. Do I have a motion to approve that plan adjustments? Anyone?
I make a motion, Beverly.
Beverly, thank you. A second?
Aida Kopic, second.
Second. We'll have a motion, a second. All in favor of that plan amendment, say aye.
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 Opposed? Number 2 is the fiscal year 2020-2025 TIP. Need a motion to approve those. Hello?
Aida Kopic, so moved.
Okay, Jeff, you make
Jeff
that.
O'Brien, a second.
All righty. All in favor, aye? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the last one is approval of the transit asset management targets found in the KEPTA Performance Management Plan. A whole lot to say there, but we do need a motion to approve that.
Motion approved.
Thanks, Bill. Second?
Second.
All right, thank you. I got a motion second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thanks, David. Thanks the whole staff for all that you guys do. Number 10 is the Kentucky Indiana Transportation Excellence Award, the KITE Award. Amanda, you're up, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I have the best job today. Let me share my screen. I have the privilege of acknowledging excellent work, and that's what's continued during the pandemic. And we didn't want to miss the chance to recognize that more than ever. So thank you to everyone that took the time to nominate a project for the 2020 KITE Award. We had 6 really good nominations. We appreciate that. It was a hard decision, but first I do want to acknowledge our first runner-up, which is the Oldham County Park and Ride Lot off I-71 at Kentucky 329. Just a beautiful facility there that's going to serve this community well for years to come, with encouraging van pool and carpool and transit. And thank you to Judge Vogel for this beautiful project, and certainly need to acknowledge Jim Urban and Belinda Demas. And I know that they would want me to also acknowledge the cabinet, transportation cabinet, for their leadership and oversight on this one. So that's our first runner up. And the winner this year, it's kind of neat, goes to Louisville Metro, TARC, and KYTC for the Dixie Highway Corridor Bus Rapid Transit Project. So it's the first bus rapid transit line in Kentucky, 15 new miles of transit service on Dixie Highway from the Snyder to downtown, 37 new BRT stations, 8 new BRT buses, intelligent transportation systems, improved transit amenities, truly a collaborative effort between these agencies, and just a challenging but really beautiful project. So congratulations on this one, guys. There's really too many people to mention, but I'm going to try. I want to quickly give a shout out to at TARC, Aida Kopik, David Herday, at Metro, Jeff O'Brien, Dirk Gowan, Stacy Keith, and John Callahan, who's no longer with Metro, but very much still with the project, still shepherding and working hard on the project with AECOM. At KYTC, Matt Bullock, Ben Baker, Susan Oatman, and countless others. So again, congratulations. We will get each of you your lovely, you can't see much about it, but your lovely trophy soon in a safe way. We'll get these to you for your trophy shelves. Just quickly, I don't want to put Aida on the spot, but she took the time to nominate this very worthy project. And I do want to just give her a chance if there's anything, Aida, you want to say about Dixie Highway.
Yes, of course. Thank you so very much, KIPTA and all the agencies who voted for this project. This is a really significant achievement for the community, for the region, for TARC, and ultimately all wins for TARC are wins for the community and transit users. So I also would like to emphasize wonderful partnership and support and great interagency coordination between Metro, state, TARC, and obviously the project that was complex and trailblazing project for the state of Kentucky. So we certainly hope that many more premium transit corridors, bus rapid transit corridors, and other advanced transit solutions will be implemented. Thank you, KIPTA, and everybody else who supported the project, the funding, and worked with us to make it happen.
Thank you. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. That's very good program, very good completed project. Number 11, we're running into the fiscal year 2020 into 2025, the Transportation Improvement Program. It's a TIP. Just an update here. Nick?
Yes, thank you. Administrative Modification 10 to the fiscal year 2020 to 2025 TIP. It's a pretty large one, and that's because it incorporates all of the cost increases and phase shifts that were just approved earlier in this meeting. So that probably comprises about 80% of the changes. We had also some new projects from NDOT and KYTC that are what we consider group projects. They're maintenance projects and things of that nature. But yeah, these are a host of changes. I can take any questions if you would like. There's no action on this item. It's just for informational purposes only.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you so much. Okay, item number 12. Before we get to that, Greg, did anybody chat in? Any comments, public comments?
No, we have not received any public comments yet.
Oh, okay, good deal. Now, I guess the last order of business I have to do, because I am getting, being removed forcefully. But anyway, I do need to get a nominating committee for 3 people for the vice chair. And I hope to get 3 people to volunteer. I think it would one phone call or 2 ought to be required, and this is required for the January TPC meeting. So do I have 3 people to volunteer very quickly?
Mayor Chapman, this is Carrie Butler. I'd be happy to volunteer for that. I feel since we won the award and you all let me talk transit, I'm willing to volunteer for this role.
Well, thank you for starting.
If you'll have me.
Oh, we will have you for sure. In fact, you'll probably be the chairman. You're the first one here. Okay, I need 2 more.
Mayor, I'll jump on.
All right, thank you, sir. I need 1 more. 1 phone call is about all it's going to take to get this job done. I need 1 more person, please.
No.
Nominate Bernie Bowling.
Okay, I'll do that. Bernie be glad to serve, wouldn't
He's not here, so he can't turn it down.
That's right. Okay, so we do have our 3 members for the nominating committee for the vice chair. If you guys can just get together, obviously by phone or however we can do it to get it accomplished for the January meeting, we appreciate it. Any other business come before this board? If not, item 13, a motion to adjourn, please.
Make a motion, Beverly.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second.
Second, Beverly. Either
Beverly,
or.
thank you. All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Anybody opposed to it? Good deal. The motion, the meeting